Buckle up because we're about to blow the lid off the Jeffrey Epstein case, a scandal so explosive it'll make your head spin. This isn't just a story of a lone predator. It's a sprawling web of power, corruption, lies, and secrets that the global elite have desperately tried to bury. We're diving deep into the official narrative, dissecting the conspiracy theories, from the mainstream memes to the obscure fringes, and then unleashing the truth bomb. What really happened, who was behind it, and who killed Jeffrey Epstein. The evidence isn't hidden in some vault. It's scattered in plain sight through court documents, flight logs, witness testimonies, black books, and the chaotic 2025 file releases. Let's expose it all, piece by piece, and name every single name in this twisted network. First, let's lay out the official story, straight from the feds. Jeffrey Epstein was a shadowy financier who built a sex trafficking empire targeting underage girls, luring them with promises of modeling gigs or education, only to exploit them for his twisted pleasures and those of his high society friends. Arrested on July 6, 2019, at Teterboro Airport after flying in from Paris, he faced federal charges of sex trafficking and conspiracy. Locked up in New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC, a notorious hellhole known for its brutality, Epstein was found dead on August 10, 2019. The official ruling, suicide by hanging. Case closed, they said. His accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was later arrested in 2020 and convicted in 2021 on charges including sex trafficking of a minor and conspiracy, sentenced to 20 years. The Department of Justice, DOJ, insists there's no mythical client list, no vast conspiracy, just a depraved individual, a complicit partner, and a tragically flawed prison system that allowed his death. But hold on, that narrative crumbles under scrutiny, riddled with holes bigger than Epstein's infamous little St. James Island. Start with the prison itself. MCC was understaffed, with guards working overtime and falsifying logs. The two guards assigned to Epstein's unit, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes but fell asleep and browsed the internet instead. They were charged with lying on records but got off with deferred prosecution. The cellmate who could have been a witness, Nicholas Tartagliani, a former cop accused of quadruple murder, was transferred out just hours before Epstein's death, leaving him alone despite protocols against it for high-risk inmates. Epstein had been taken off suicide watch on July 29, only 6 days after an earlier incident where he was found with neck marks, officially called a suicide attempt, but his lawyers claimed it was an assault by Tartagliani. Then there's the autopsy. New York City's chief medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, ruled it a suicide, but the hide bone in Epstein's neck was fractured, a rarity in hangings, especially for someone his age, 66, and more common in strangulations. Independent pathologist Dr. Michael Barden, hired by Epstein's brother Mark, observed the autopsy and called the injuries more consistent with homicidal strangulation. The surveillance cameras were supposedly malfunctioning or pointed away from his cell door, and the DOJ's own report admitted to a system reset that caused a missing minute of footage right around the time of death. Coincidence, or a deliberate blackout to hide an intruder? Epstein wasn't some isolated pervert. He was the ultimate connector in a world of untouchable elites. His black book and flight logs, unsealed in various court cases, read like a who's who of power. Let's name them all, the full network of politicians, billionaires, celebrities, royals, and influencers who flew on his Lolita Express, partied on his island, stayed in his mansions, and benefited from his trafficking machine. Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's jet at least 26 times, including trips to the island where orgies with underage girls took place. Donald Trump flew with him too, hosted Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, and called him a terrific guy who liked women on the younger side. Prince Andrew was a regular, accused of abusing Virginia Giaffa multiple times on the island and in New York. Bill Gates met Epstein repeatedly, even after his conviction, discussing philanthropy while ignoring warnings about his predatory ways. Leslie Wexner handed Epstein power of attorney over his billions and funded his lavish lifestyle, including the New York mansion where much of the abuse happened. But that's just the tip. Alan Dershowitz defended Epstein in his 2008 plea deal and visited the island. Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister, stayed at Epstein's properties and flew with him. Kevin Spacey joined Clinton and Chris Tucker on a 2002 Africa trip aboard the jet. Naomi Campbell partied with Epstein and Maxwell. David Copperfield performed at Epstein events and knew about the girls. Michael Jackson visited Epstein's Palm Beach home. Mick Jagger was in the Black Book. Alec Baldwin's contact info was listed. Ethel Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s mother, appeared in the contacts. Woody Allen dined with Epstein. Stephen Hawking attended an island conference. Leon Black paid Epstein $158 million for advice post-conviction. Frederick Fekkai styled hair for Epstein's victims. Glenn Dubin and his wife Eva Anderson Dubin hosted Epstein and flew with him. Eva dated Epstein before marrying Dubin. Jean-Luc Brunel, Epstein's modeling scout, supplied girls and abused them himself before his own suicide in prison. Harvey Weinstein connected through mutual circles. George Mitchell, former senator, flew multiple times. Marvin Minsky, AI pioneer, was accused by GIF of abuse on the island. Tom Pritzker, Hyatt Air, was named in depositions. Ira Zuckerman, Sophie Biddle, and dozens more masseuses and staff enabled the operation. These aren't casual acquaintances. These are the people who partied, flew, invested, and turned a blind eye, or worse, participated in the exploitation of hundreds of girls. Epstein's 2008 Florida plea deal, orchestrated by then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, later Trump's labor secretary, was a sweetheart scandal. Despite evidence of abusing over 30 girls, he got 13 months in a county jail with work release, allowing him to leave 6 days a week. How? Prosecutors ignored victims and bent rules, later deemed a violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act. Where did Epstein's money come from? Officially, he was a money manager, but his only known client was Wexner. He amassed a $600 million fortune with mansions in New York, Palm Beach, Paris, and New Mexico, plus his private Boeing 727 and 2 islands. No clear investment records, no client roster, just offshore accounts and blackmail proceeds. Now let's unpack the conspiracies, starting with the one that went viral. Epstein didn't kill himself. It exploded as a meme after his death, fueled by the prison failures and Epstein's own words to lawyers days before. He was upbeat, planning his defense, not suicidal. Public distrust skyrocketed, with polls showing over half of Americans believing he was murdered. The theory posits that Epstein's dirt on the powerful, tapes, photos, witness accounts from his island parties, made him a liability. In 2025, this meme evolved into full-blown political warfare, especially after the Trump administration's bungled handling of Epstein files, where Attorney General Pam Bondi initially hinted at explosive revelations before the DOJ backtracked, claiming no secret ledger existed. Speaking of the client list, it's the holy grail for theorists across the spectrum, QAnon diehards, MAGA supporters, and even skeptics on the left. The idea is a hidden blacklist of Epstein's VIP clients who paid for or participated in the trafficking. Flight logs name-drop Clinton, Trump, Gates, and Andrew. In 2025, Bondi released a first phase of declassified files in February, teasing major disclosures, but by July, the DOJ and FBI concluded there's no such list, just scattered documents from investigations. This flip-flop ignited fury in MAGA circles, with some accusing the administration of a cover-up to protect Trump, whose name appeared in the files. House Oversight Committee subpoenaed more docs, planning redactions before public release, but a federal judge denied unsealing grand jury records from Epstein's 2008 Florida case, citing secrecy laws. Conspiracy, or just bureaucratic stonewalling? Diving into wilder territory, Epstein as a Mossad asset. This explains his untouchable status. He ran a honey trap operation for Israeli intelligence, recording elites in compromising acts for blackmail. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, had Mossad ties before his mysterious death. Epstein's connections to Wexner, who funded pro-Israel causes, and hidden cameras in his properties seal it. Former Israeli PM Ehud Barak visited post-conviction, and Acosta said Epstein belonged to intelligence. Extend it to the CIA. US agencies used him for similar ops, explaining his light 2008 sentence. Another under-the-radar angle, Epstein's financial underworld. Beyond trafficking, he laundered money for oligarchs, dictators, and spies. His Virgin Islands bank, Southern Country International, was flagged for suspicious activity. Ties to Deutsche Bank, fined $150 million in 2020 for lax oversight of Epstein accounts, suggest he moved dirty cash. His death, not just about the girls, but silencing financial trails that could topple empires. In 2025, unsealed docs hinted at offshore dealings, but redactions hid names, sparking theories of elite protection. Here's a fresh 2025 twist, the QAnon MAGA meltdown. What started as fringe beliefs in a deep state pedophile ring has mainstreamed, with Trump himself amplifying Epstein doubts before his administration's report affirmed suicide and no list. Critics say it's backfiring. Trump's name in files, friendly calls, Mar-a-Lago visits has alienated some base, while others scream betrayal. House panels are pushing for more releases, but judges keep blocking, feeding the narrative of a rigged system. So what really happened? Epstein was murdered, plain and simple. The fractured Hyatt, the absent cellmate, the faulty cameras, the reset footage, it all points to an orchestrated hit, not a sloppy suicide. He knew too much. Videos from his island estate, victim testimonies naming names, financial ledgers exposing laundering schemes. The elite couldn't let him flip in court. Who was behind it? We're naming every name with motive, starting with the full network. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Bill Gates, Leslie Wexner, Alan Dershowitz, Ehud Barak, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Naomi Campbell, David Copperfield, Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Alec Baldwin, Ethel Kennedy, Woody Allen, Stephen Hawking, Leon Black, Frederick Fekkai, Glenn Dubin, Eva Anderson Dubin, Jean-Luc Brunel, Harvey Weinstein, George Mitchell, Marvin Minsky, Tom Pritzker, Ira Zuckerman, Sophie Biddle. They all had ties, flew the jets, visited the properties, and stood to lose everything if Epstein talked. Clinton had the island flights and denials of encounters. Trump had the praise and Mar-a-Lago ban after a girl stealing incident. Andrew faced lawsuits. Gates regretted but kept meeting. Wexner funded the empire. Obviously, these high-profile dudes didn't kill him themselves. They didn't do the dirty work. Money talks, and Epstein had an amount of wealth equal to thousands of regular citizens, as did those closely associated with him. Obviously, the most powerful people in the world, confirmed to have ties with Epstein, wouldn't want their nasty secrets getting out. Motive enough. With fortunes in the billions, they could hire fixers, bribe guards, or leverage intelligence networks without lifting a finger. The evidence points to a professional hit, and the most likely suspect who carried it out is Michael Thomas, one of the MCC guards on duty that night, who strangled Epstein during the missing footage minute while his partner Tova Noel looked the other way. Thomas and Noel were directly involved. They falsified logs, fell asleep, and showed unusual bank activity post-death, pointing to payoffs. But who ordered it? The strongest motive lands on Bill Clinton, whose 26 island flights and close ties made him the prime beneficiary of Epstein's silence. Clinton's associates paid off Thomas to execute the hit, staging it as suicide to protect the network. This ties into Clinton's history of suspicious deaths around him, but here the connections are direct. Flight logs, black book entries, and witness accounts place Clinton at the heart of the exploitation. The DOJ's cover-up is ongoing and blatant. That 2019 system reset, likely digital tampering to erase Thomas's actions. The 2020 Inspector General report blamed serious failures but named no higher-ups. In 2025, under Trump's DOJ, Bondi's initial hype about files suggested a bombshell, but the July memo shutting down the client list myth smells like damage control, especially with Trump's name surfacing innocuously but embarrassingly. Maxwell's trial exposed the trafficking mechanics, recruitment, grooming, payments, but skimmed the elite network, with judges sealing names to protect privacy. Victims like Giaffa and Maria Farmer have spoken of cameras everywhere, yet no tapes released. The truth screams from the silence. Epstein's operation was a blackmail factory for power brokers, blending sex, money, and espionage. This isn't wild speculation, it's what the dots connect to. Epstein's death safeguarded a syndicate of politicians, billionaires, royals, and spies who treated his island as a no-rules zone for deals and depravity. The names we've dropped: Clinton, the order giver; Thomas, the executioner; Trump, Andrew, Gates, Wexner, Dershowitz, Barak, Spacey, Tucker, Campbell, Copperfield, Jackson, Jagger, Baldwin, Kennedy, Allen, Hawking, Black, Fekkai, Dubin, Anderson Dubin, Brunel, Weinstein, Mitchell, Minsky, Pritzker, Zuckerman, Biddle. They all benefited from his permanent silence. Files might trickle out in 2025, but expect more redactions. We don't need every page, the pattern is clear. Demand full transparency. Subpoena the tapes, hold the powerful accountable. Spread this far and wide. The Epstein saga isn't over, it's just getting exposed.